Welcome to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast for club owners, operators, and fitness professionals. Each week, host Brian O'Rourke brings you an expert interview with a global influencer at the crossroads of fitness and technology. You gain the insights, tools, and inspiration you need to stay connected to the pulse for what matters most for your business in the age of exponential technologies.
Hello, listeners, and welcome to the podcast, episode 178, where we're going to chat with Mike Arce, CEO of Loud Rumor. Mike and I are going to talk about what they do with gyms around the country and around the world. He's a multi-unit gym owner, very adept at lead gym marketing and operationalization, and we're going to talk a little bit about the implications of technology and other things that I think you'll find very interesting from an operational perspective. I really enjoyed the conversation. Before we get into that interview with Mike, I am looking very forward to seeing many of you at FIBO, which is going to be a great event. I always enjoy going as well to the Health and Fitness Forum put on by, of course, Europe Active. Always happy to see our colleagues there. We're going to have a booth, of course, with my position with Core Health and Fitness, which will be great. So please come by and visit us. You'll see the post on social telling us our booth number. And then Friday, you're going to see in the afternoon a panel, which I'll be on with Hugo Braun and several other great people, Enrique, a few others that Hans is going to conduct. That's in the afternoon Friday at the show at FIBO. So I hope to see you all there. Always love going to Cologne. So anyway, let's without further ado, move on to the interview of Mike Arce, and thanks for joining us. Well, welcome, listeners. As I said in the intro, I have the pleasure of inviting Mike Arce on the pod today. Mike, where does the recording find you?
What's that?
Where does this recording find you? Where are you?
I'm in Scottsdale, Arizona.
I wasn't sure that. That's why I thought I'd ask. That's great.
Yeah.
And we saw each other last at the event
In Atlanta.
In Atlanta for Alloy, and I got you. You saved me in some AV issues that we were having during the presentation. I really thank you for that.
I mean, I saved myself. I thought it was a great presentation, and I felt like I needed to be selfish and get the AV working so I can get the most out of it for me. So,
well, if you don't mind for the listeners, and I mentioned a little bit this in the beginning, but you've been in the fitness business for a while now, and you all do a lot of work in the industry space. So could you tell us a little bit about how you got in the business and what you've been doing the last number of years?
yeah, I initially got in the fitness industry on accident. I was in martial arts, and I was competing at a pretty good level. And but I was 18, so my body started to kind of, turn into a man. But my competitors definitely started turning into a man a lot faster. So I needed to get stronger fast, and I didn't know what I was doing. I was like any 18-year-old kid. I just didn't know really the mechanics of it. I couldn't afford a trainer, so I switched my major in college for a semester. They had a personal training, like you can become a certified personal trainer in one semester. It was like 18 credit course. So I was like, man, that sounds great. So if I learn everything a trainer knows, I don't need a trainer, right? That's perfect. And so I did that. The last few weeks of me being in that course, you have to take a client on. And I took on my aunt, and it was great. Like, I really enjoyed, I didn't realize how much I learned in that semester until I got to apply it and teach. And I really enjoyed that process. So I was a waiter while going through college at the time, but I quit my job as a waiter. I got a job at LA Fitness and as an assistant manager, which really just meant you sell personal training. Yeah. And I did that for a little while, but I really wanted to become a trainer. That's what I wanted. So I had to get certified through their program as well, which was NCPPT, I think, something like that. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Did that, became a trainer there. And I was hungry, and I broke a few different sales records at the age of 20, 21, something like that. And so they promoted me to manager, and I started opening up gyms. And yeah, that was my job, was to help open up gyms that were struggling or just help improve gyms that were struggling. And then from there,
that's cool. Yeah, that's cool. That's really cool. And you said you've worked with thousands of gyms over the
Yeah.
course of your career.
Yeah.
Tell me about that. What kind of different facilities have you focused on?
So we worked with over 60 franchises now, mainly in the boutique fitness space. So stuff like Orange Theory, F45, Club Pilates, those are the ones that people are going to know. But then you've got a lot of franchise brands that a lot of people don't know, and then hundreds and hundreds of independent brands as well that we work with. And so it's been really fun. But they're usually that 1,500 to 5,000 square foot model, usually
Yep.
charging between 100 to $300 a month. And their community is a big reason why so many stay if they get it right. So that's been our model. But we work with about 4,000 of them now in 11 different countries,
Mhm.
and it's really, I mean, honestly, it's to me it's refreshing because it's such an immature industry. You have other
Yeah.
industries like restaurants and department stores; they've kind of got it figured out. Like
Yeah.
Brian, no matter what restaurant is your favorite one, I could tell
Yeah.
you how it goes from the moment you walk in the door. There's a host
Sure.
all the way down the line until you get the check in a little black thing and they ask you for dessert. It's all the same. With fitness studios, they don't have that. It's so you have the manager selling, some you have the front desk, some you have actual salespeople, some you have the coaches, some you have the owners. And so it's so immature that there's no proven process that makes it easy for the members to not have to think. That's why you and I like restaurants. We just have to judge the food and the atmosphere. We don't have to think
Yeah.
about what to do. We know what to do anywhere we go.
Yeah.
That doesn't exist in our space. So that's our mission, is to shape the business side of the fitness industry. And we've done a great job of it with a lot of the brands we work with. So we're excited to do more and more. We got a long way to go.
That's great. Now, we like to talk a little bit about technology on this pod, and I was talking to you before the recording here, and you focus a lot on business development and marketing. Tell us a little bit about technology in that arena, some of your thoughts on what's occurred over the last number of years. I mean, as the cost of social ads has gone up extensively in the last several years. There's the issues of all kind of things, attribution, all kind of different dynamics with these technology tools, and people realize that Google is a monopoly, and so is Meta. So there's a lot of, and there are different ways to use tech for marketing and biz dev that you know a lot about. So, what are some of your observations on technologies that people are using or are not using and should be using when it comes to what you do in the space?
Yeah, when it comes to should, I think that largely depends on the person.
Hmm.
Everyone's got their own unique capabilities and their own unique assets at the studio. And so, maybe one studio should focus more on content and another one shouldn't. Maybe one
Yeah.
should focus more on B2B, another one shouldn't. It just depends
Hmm.
on how good that person is at that unique
Hmm.
ability. Some
Hmm.
people should not be doing the B2B thing. Like they're just not
Yeah.
really great networkers, right? So,
Yeah.
okay, now taking it back as far as the technology goes, so not everything works, but not everything works the same way or as long. So
Yeah. Yeah.
if you got into Facebook ads, Instagram ads, for example, like 2014 or 15, you had a wave up until 2018 where
Right.
you actually didn't realize how lucky you were. You would get
Hmm.
500 leads for a $500 ad spend. I mean,
Right.
it was like that. And and then around 2019, it started really dropping down. And yeah, even now, you're not getting a terrible cost per lead in some markets, but it's
Hmm.
definitely a lot. And if you don't have a good, process to get them converted, your customer acquisition cost it's too expensive to,
Right.
uh, I guess, justify the lifetime value of that member that you just signed up. So the
Right.
ratio is not good enough. So I think it was a really fun wave. I think now there are definitely people succeeding in it. We've got a company that we work with called the Pistacacci Gym. They get about 400 to 700 leads a month through paid ads for like $1 a lead. Now that's very, very rare, very
Very
unique.
rare.
They're
Yep.
leveraging their unique abilities to create those videos and do them in a really
Hmm.
cool way. Most people aren't going to put in that effort, that time, and even if they did,
Right.
it wouldn't be as good at it, right?
Yep. Yep.
Um, what I do think is still important is uh, constantly putting out information out there. People
Hmm.
buy, we've heard of this before, people buy from those they know, like, and trust. But the truth is, I've got to know you. I can't buy from you if I don't know you. And so being able to create familiarity in a 5-mile radius, I think now the gyms that are winning with social media,
Right.
they're boosting helpful, valuable information because you
Hmm.
only have a 5-mile radius. It's not like
Right.
your
Yep.
business, right? Are you international or national? Which one are you?
No, we're in an international business, 100 countries. Yep.
So to be known internationally, that's a
Yeah.
lot,
Hard.
right? It takes
It's
a
a
lot
lot.
of work. To be known in a 5-mile radius, it's not that bad, but you just have to have a strategy for that. But if we go, hey, I just want to make sure that if I go to the grocery store wearing my branded shirt, like somebody goes, I've seen these guys, right? But
Yep.
that's going to happen from useful content, not like win a free week or something like that, or 6-week challenge.
Yeah. Right.
The next thing is AI, and not leveraging AI right now in your business. It's like a barber not leveraging clippers and going, no, I'm more of a scissors guy. And it's like, I get it. Like you're doing things, you're going for the same outcome, but it's taking a lot longer, and you're probably not going to do as good of a job. So I think AI right now, to be fair with you, there's not a lot of things that AI is currently able to do that's going to make a massive shift for a gym to where it's like, oh my God, good thing I used AI because I would never achieve this result. But it's about understanding it and really how it works at a foundational level, because it's getting better. And I can't imagine this world of fitness being the same in 3 years from now. It's going to leverage AI in such a high level that if you don't have an understanding, it's like the guy that wanted to learn the internet in 2010.
Yeah.
Right. It's
Right.
like, okay, so what is this internet thing? It's like, you're so far gone at this point. So I think people definitely should take AI seriously. And we have a lot of gyms that are using it for recruiting, for you making sure they got the right people, creating SOPs, lead gen, all that stuff. But like I said, not massive shifts from it, but there will be a lot. And it's important to get into it.
And you're so right. You know, what's ironic about the AI thing, and no matter what tool you use, Anthropic, Chat, whatever, it's interesting because I'm sure you've gotten this. A lot of people still don't know how to use Google properly.
Yeah. No,
They don't know about Boolean searches. They don't know how to do that. They don't know how to do that. They'll just write in what they want. It's so funny.
100%. Well, the good news is you probably won't have to in the next year or two. Like right now, there's been, I can't remember the percentage. It was ridiculous. It was in the hundreds of percent of more people using ChatGPT over Google to find the answers or to find local businesses, which is another reason why, to understand AI, you want to understand how AI chooses who to recommend. So AI is a human. It's essentially what it is. So Bryan, I don't know if you have an assistant or not, but if you had an assistant, and let's say you do, okay, if you have an assistant, you're like, hey, I really want to set up a really nice dinner. I've got great clients coming into town. Find a really, really great place with a great view, great steak. That's what I'm looking for. Well, your assistant likely is going to do a series of things. She's going to look for reviews, number one, which one has the most best average reviews, and which one has a view, and it's going to do all that stuff. She's going to look for the information on the website that matches what you said you wanted. AI is going to do the same thing. And so treating it like a human and not a search engine is going to serve you better. You got to say, hey, if it was a human having to look for my gym, what would the human be looking for to recommend it? And so reviews are largely important. Also, how you get people to review, like what they say in those things, are very important as well.
Yes, no, that's so true. As well as, you know, like Google, but more profound is like with Chat, and we've been using the AI tools since they came out. We use all of them. You know, I do things like competitive gaming theory, competitive analysis with gaming theory. I've trained my AI to know about our various businesses. I upload a lot of data, and then I start it. And really, I think that's what is most profound about the tool is really to use it well. You have to kind of change the way you think about it, because if you don't, you're really limiting what it can do for you. And I've when I tell people examples, for example, focus groups. So you know, my marketing team, we're going to do a focus group. So don't do a focus group. Do the focus group on ChatGPT. And I feed it all the profiles of the different buyer personas, and then go, okay, you know, create a focus group and give me personalities and names for each of these personas I've fed you, and I'm going to interview them. And you can talk to them like a focus group. And you know, people will see this and their heads explode, because you know, it's one thing to write me an email or do this. That's nice. It's convenient. But boy, when you start talking about some of this stuff, I mean, you're talking about saving a hell of a lot of money and getting down to answers much quicker.
You know why that's better than a focus group, Bryan?
Yeah.
The truth is, not everybody is the same person every day. So
That's
for
right.
example, you, Bryan, let's not you personally, but like, let's say a Bryan out there, that Bryan that got chosen because of his demographic, who he is, his geographic, all that. That guy may not be the same guy you thought you picked for the focus group that day. If he got in an argument with his wife and was up till 5 a.m, if he's been drinking, if he's not feeling well, he may not respond the way he normally would. And so, but when you do this, you're getting the most Bryan that you would get, right? Which is exactly what you're looking for.
Yeah. So that's a great observation, Mike. One of the tricks we used is when I went through these personas, I said, now, give Jill, the buyer persona, a truth serum. So she loses all her inhibitions to tell me what she really thinks. And I mean, it's when you start thinking like this, it's for a lot of people, it's, that's what I mean about kind of rewiring your mind, because you have to be, the more deliberate you are and the more explicit you are, the better the outcome is. And, putting aside some hallucinations, and you can do so many things with it. It's just so fascinating what you can do.
Have you ever read the book Outwitting the Devil by Napoleon Hill?
Oh, yeah.
It reminded me of that, right? Like, because he has to tell the truth no matter what.
Yes.
And you're just getting the right answers, right?
That's cool. It's really, really amazing. And in light of this, we talk about marketing and platforms, and I agree with you, by the way. I think being the fitness, content provider in a 5-mile radius is absolutely, and I think you're also very insightful when you say not everyone's good at everything. A lot of people don't want to get on camera, as you know, and that's okay. Yeah, exactly. But if you are open to that and you're very thoughtful, it doesn't take a hell of a lot of spend with good organic content to reach awareness in your marketplace. If you're just consistent, right? I think that's so true. And you don't have to spend a lot of money to reach that notoriety if you're doing a good job of content, right?
100%. And again, using ChatGPT to help you find what are people in my area. So actually, Perplexity would be better for this. Have you ever heard of Perplexity.ai?
Yes,
that's kind of
because it search. Yeah,
it's really great with the granular data, like specific data, demographics, geographics, all that.
Yeah.
But if you were to say, hey, I have a gym at this address, and this is my target demographic, what do people in my 5-mile radius care about when it comes to health, that demographic? And so, you may find out that, hey, these people struggle with sleep, they struggle with metabolism, they struggle with, perimenopause, they struggle with X, Y, Z, whatever. And now you could say, hey, great, can you create me a piece of content with that could be done in 60 seconds, that if I read off a script, I want it in the voice of, and you can say Ryan Reynolds, you can say whoever you want, right? But then you could also say include 1 or 2 insightful Stoic quotes that could help tie the content together. Also include a quote from a well-known authority in the space that can help tie it together, and include 1 or 2 data points that I can use to give credibility to the message. And from there, if you don't like certain pieces, you can say, hey, change that data, give me something different, source it, whatever. But I mean, it could build out your entire content strategy. So I think it's great. I think content could absolutely be something that a lot of people could do more of. But like we talked about, if it's not your thing, or you're not going to be consistent with it, stay away. I've got a partner, one of my gyms. She is the best I've ever seen in my life when it comes to B2B. I mean, she built in pre-sale, she built relationships with like 17 local businesses, had them all come to our grand opening with their members. I mean, it was great. It's so hard for most people to do that, but for her, it's her unique ability. She's just, she's comfortable doing it. She's good at it. So that's lane.
Yeah. I also like engagement. I think especially in a 5-mile radius, right? If you identify a set of hashtags that are in that area around, and you use the discipline of engaging around certain hashtags and certain people with proactive outreach, that's, I find, very effective. Another kind of a grind, because you may have to spend 15 or 20 minutes a day doing it, or every other day, maybe a little bit more time. We do that, for example, in Core's brands. We actively monitor every comment across 32 digital platforms. Right. And so anytime anyone interacts with the brand or interacts or posts content around certain keywords or hashtags, we engage with them, not to sell them, but to create engagement, a sense of trust and community. I think that pays off if you're looking at a 5-mile radius, because if some people are going to smoothie shops and you're monitoring what they're talking about, that may be your core customer, and you can do things that they would have never thought of.
Well, and So the interesting thing now is, so when content first got big, I mean, obviously content's been around since centuries, right? But in the way that we're speaking of it today with information overload, when it first began, you had to use algorithms to determine if the content is worth displaying. And today, the algorithm, like you're the algorithm, I'm the algorithm, we're the people watching are the algorithm. And now the data points are based on, are people watching and for how long, and are they engaging? Because all they care about, all these social platforms care about is staying on the platform, right?
Attention. Attention.
Exactly. So really, as a 5-mile radius, how some of our best gyms, we've taught them what to do is you'll do something like, what city do you live in, or neighborhood, even better if there's like a neighborhood name. What's yours, Brian?
Lake Forest, California.
Lake Forest. Okay, so it'd be something like, if you live in Lake Forest and you have to eat on the go, but you need it to be healthy, here are the top 5 fast food restaurants and the items you could use to get a healthy meal for cheap in Lake Forest. And so now that's relevant. And so what it does is it attracts the Lake Forest people a lot more. People that live elsewhere, they're not going to watch. Therefore, you're going to have a higher concentration of your content to that, right? And same thing, like if you're in Lake Forest, you want to know what type of outdoor activities are best to do with your kids that'll keep you healthy and active. Or if you're in Lake Forest and you want to know the best breakfast places to bring your kids, well, they'll actually eat healthy food. And when they go home, they'll start eating it too. Just find a way to tie in what you do, what your specialty or authority would be to this town that you're in. And then from there, your content can get more broad. Like if you're having trouble sleeping and you're over the age of 40, here are 5 things that you can do right now to make yourself get a much better night's sleep. Right. So that's the way you can go for there. But it's hard for a lot of people to just, like you said, get on the camera if you feel comfortable. It's really no different than getting in front of 50 people in your class.
That's exactly right. I mean, people have a mental block on that a lot. I mean, a lot of people just fear or lack of comfort. I get some people will never be into it, but so many people that I've worked with, I'm like, you just got to do it. I mean, it's going to be okay. Just like you said, it's not that hard. You're not going to drown. I mean, it's going to be all right.
Yeah. You know, the thing that we like to teach our gyms more than anything, it's a few steps back from that. Because everything we just talked about is really under branding and lead generation and all that stuff, which is important. But that's not the number one reason people are failing. And I know that because in 2016, in 2017, the average gym that came to us, when they came to us, the average gym was doing about $32,000 a month in revenue. When they came to us, about $32,000 a month. And they were getting 500 leads a month. Now today, you only get 80, maybe 50 leads a month for the same ad spend, if not even less. Right. And guess what? It's still about 32,000. So the lead gen is not the variable. It just looks like it is. It just feels like if I just had more leads, everything would be fine. But what happened in 2017? Why weren't you fine? So that's not the very, what we want to teach is a few steps back. We'll understand what marketing really is. Marketing, a lot of people think marketing's job is to generate leads. But that's not. That's one of 4. And that's the promotional category. Marketing's number one job, its only reason for existing is to increase revenue. That's it. Anything else you'd say, if you follow the jelly beans back, it's to increase revenue. More branding. Why? So you get more leads. Why? So you get more members. Why? Because they'll get more revenue, right? No matter what. So everything's about getting more revenue. So now that we know that, the number one focus of marketing is to get more revenue. Well, now we break down how do we get revenue. There's only 3 ways. Get more members, get them to pay you more, or get them to stay longer. That's it. Anything else you say, be one of those buckets. And then from there, we have all of our gyms go through an exercise. And in that exercise, we're able to identify, hey, if 2 of these stayed the same, but one of them improved, which one would have the highest impact? If we do that? And sometimes it's increased the revenue per member. Sometimes it's, we had a gym, it came to us in November, Crowned Boxing. They're in LA. They were at 20% attrition. They didn't even know. They weren't tracking it. 20% monthly attrition. They were losing 20%. Over 5 months, they have to recycle the whole member base. Right. And they wanted to get more customers. That's what they said they wanted. So we got them down. We said, no, focus on retaining. Watch how everything changes. They got down to 4% 2 months in a row in January and February. 4%. And now, see, a 20% retention or attrition. that's like having a 5-month retention. But when you have a 4%, that's like having a 25-month retention.
Big
These
difference.
guys improved their business by like 20% revenue wise. But why? They were getting any more leads? Yeah, because they weren't like replacing, they were compounding the business now.
Mm-hmm.
And so so I think it's important. We talked a little bit about this on our last call. I think people really undervalue data. And if they understood data like a coach would, and they look at a box score of their team in the game and say like, hey, you know what? I think I shouldn't play this guy because when I play him, this is what happens. Or I should have him guard him. It's the same thing with the business. When you look at the data, it almost jumps at you if you look at it right. And you go, man, why am I wasting all my time over here? It's ridiculous. Like, I need to be focused on this. This is my bottleneck. So I think marketing needs to be thought of more holistically. And before we jump into lead gen, we first say, like, do I even need more leads? Like, what is the real solution to me growing revenue? And then from there, we dive in hard on that one thing.
Yeah. A lot of it is having a crappy product. I mean, you know, trying to market when you have a crappy product is, you might as well be burning money in the parking lot. You know, and a lot of times businesses aren't really ready. You know, they think that leads are going to solve their problem, but if they can't execute on basic things from a service delivery standpoint and fundamental user experience, to your point of earlier about what we expect in a restaurant, right?
Mm-hmm.
If you went into that restaurant and you're waiting around for someone to seat you and no one was there, or if you went to the table and you sat down and no one came to ask you what would you like for dinner, or gave you a menu to decide, if those fundamentals, if the food didn't come out in a timely fashion and it wasn't of a certain high quality for what you're paying, your intention of returning just goes down, and then your you know, as you know, the word of mouth it just kills you. So
Yeah.
that makes it even worse if you don't have a user experience and a business model that makes sense from a customer perspective.
Yeah, we teach the tried and true 4 Ps of marketing, and products one of the 4 Ps, right? And
Right.
and everyone focuses on promotion, but products. If you ask most VPs of marketing or CMOs, where do you spend most of your time? It's product.
Yeah.
That's the number one thing. And you know why a lot of people think their product's not the problem? Because they're blinded by how good the community is with a certain sphere of people. Meaning,
Mhm.
it's not even everyone. It's
Right.
just this sphere that's constantly in front of them that high fives and says they change your life. It could only be 20% of people that are saying
Right.
that, but that's
Right.
20% they keep staying around. So they feel like, oh, our community is amazing. Our
It's
community,
great. Yeah.
and it's like, yeah, but what's the job to be done? Because
Yes.
when I signed up to a gym, yes, I get it. It's great that I made friends, and that might keep me longer.
Yeah.
But the job to be done for me might be, I need to lose weight, or I need to increase my strength, or I need more energy. Here's what happened. That woman, Sandy, that went to your gym, that loves you, loves your staff, loves the other members. She's got great community. She's been there for 5 months, and her goal was to lose 25 pounds, and she's only lost 3. Now,
Yeah.
Sandy goes to a Thanksgiving or a family barbecue,
Yeah.
and she sees her cousin get all these praise. Oh my God, you look great. What are you doing? You look fantastic. Her cousin lives in the same town and finds out she's only been going to a new gym for 3 months, not 5,
Yeah.
like Sandy.
Yeah.
Now Sandy goes, Where are you going? She
That's
starts
right.
talking about it. She says, you come as a guest. And she
Yeah.
goes, and next thing you know, you get an email as the owner saying, I need to put a pause. My husband's got a lot of stuff with work going on, and I just can't fit it into my
Right.
schedule, because they're too coward to tell you the truth. They don't
Yes.
feel like your product is getting them the thing that you sold them. The funny thing is, you'll sell with the product and you don't deliver. So in the sales, you're like, okay, you want to lose 25 pounds? We could totally do that. And how would it feel to lose 25 pounds? They do all that in the sale. And then the next time they'll hear about that goal is when they go to cancel. And then that cancellation, you bring it up
Yeah.
again. They go, you
That's
know
right.
what? You still had that goal to lose 25. You know, it's like, where were you for these 5 months? So I think too many people neglect the job to be done. If they focus on the job to be done, make a great steak, get a great car, whatever it is, the community could take a little bit of a back seat. I mean, look, no one goes to McDonald's for the people.
Yeah. No.
So they just go for the consistency. It is what it is. So
Yeah.
I think it's absolutely it's a great point you just made. Product is the one thing that's the most neglected, and it's the most important.
Yeah, no, you're so right. And segueing into data, because this is where context, people talk about data is the new oil and all that stuff, all the little buzzwords about data. And data is very important, but as we were talking about before, context. So, if you don't have context, you can use data and really hurt yourself. I mean, if you don't understand, like you just explained, the 4 Ps or other constructs of what marketing really is, you could make conclusions using data and not understand that and do really stupid things, like not understanding what problem are you trying to solve. Is it really leads, or is it retention, or is it, you could look at data and it could tell you, yeah, you need more leads, but if you don't have context of what that is, you could really do the wrong things.
Yeah.
So tell me about that with the AI stuff and everything, which makes data even more ubiquitous. Tell me about your thoughts on that.
Well, that's great for market data,
Yeah.
industry data, location data, but the in-house data, the great thing about small business, local business,
Yeah.
most of the math to solve problems can be done in a
It's simple.
napkin. It's like a simple phone calculator. You can solve your problems. So here's an example of like data. Okay, you want more leads. Let's look at your last 100 members that came in.
Yeah.
Where did they come from? What's the lead source?
Right.
And here's the ironic thing. When you ask 100 gyms, hey, out of all the ways that you get new members, what's your favorite lead source? Your favorite one out of all lead sources. What do you think most people would say? Referrals, right?
Referrals, yeah, that's the best. Yeah.
You'd have to mess up to not close a referral, right? Because those guys already know everything from the guy that referred them, right? They know the price, they know everything. Yeah. So yeah, we like referrals. Great. What's your least favorite lead source? Most people say today, paid ads. Because you can't get a hold of them. Half of them don't even remember filling out the form. The other half, you can't get a hold of half of those. And then, the ones you do get a hold of, they're like, oh, never mind, I changed my mind. So you close maybe 1 to 5 of 100 paid ads, right? So they hate those. They love referrals, their favorite. They hate paid ads, least favorite. Where do you think most people spend more time and effort? Finding agencies to finally get it right. And they'll spend $3,000, $4,000 a month on paid ads. And they'll spend all this time following up with people and doing all this stuff, talking to the agencies to get it right. And you don't even like the leads. How many gyms do you think have a sophisticated set of referral marketing strategies in motion right now?
Very, very few.
That is an example of just, you don't need ChatGPT for that data.
Right.
Your favorite lead is this. Your least favorite lead is this. You spend the most time here and you spend the least time here. Make sense of that for me.
Right. No, I get it.
So most things are as simple as that. That's one of 10 things where you're just like, if you just look here, you go, oh, yeah, I should do more here. That would be great. That would be a smart move.
Yeah. No, I get it. And back to the product, because if you have a shitty product, your referrals aren't going to be nearly as good.
Yeah, that's true, right? It's going to be hard to get people in. And that's a great point.
Well, that's very interesting. Yeah, I think, it's interesting because I had the same experiences with all the businesses we've owned and bought and done over the years. We look at the financials, we look at the product, we look at the basic metrics of performance, and then you go, okay, what, it becomes pretty apparent if you have some insight that you just shared by way of example with referrals, to know where is the lowest hanging fruit that's going to make a difference. And then what are the stuff that we're spending time on that we should stop spending time on, because you just the dilutive effect instead of focusing on the few things that actually would make the best impact to the business, right?
Well, we did this one thing at our conference. We do a conference 3 times a year called GSDCon, and we did this one thing where we wanted to demonstrate what you just said, which is a lot of things in the business could not be done. You could just delete and you'd be fine. And so what we did was, we took this person up on stage and we said, hey, what are some things that you feel you need to do, right, out of this list? So we were going to pre-list. And he said, all of them. I said, all of them. Okay, now watch this. How many people are doing about as much revenue or more than this person? Now you had 50, 60% of the room raise their hand. I said, okay, I want you all to stand up. Now for those of you, sit down if you're not doing this first one. And a good 10% sat down. Sit down if you're not doing this one. A good 15% sat down. And we went all the way down. It was 2 people standing left. And I said, if it needs to be done, then how come they're not doing it? It doesn't need to be done. You just created this pattern, and now you have this OCD about you where it's like we started it, we have to finish it. It's like, no, you don't. Like, so poker. I don't know if you play poker at all, Texas Hold'em or anything.
Not really.
No, I play with the family. I don't like go out and play, but my family and I, it's like I have a lot of cousins and uncles. But there's a philosophy of poker and business, and basically with poker, it's like, look, you could either gamble or you could play the game. If you gamble, you're just playing off feeling. But if you play the game, you play with you do the right moves and you live with the results. And I think the same thing goes with business. You have to run the right plays and you live with the results. But also, like poker, you have to know sometimes you have to fold in order to win. Sometimes some hands have to be folded to win. And I think we have a hard time folding. I think sometimes we started it, we have to keep going because the employees are going to get mad. The members are used to it. And it's like, dude, they'll be used to something else in like 18 days. Like it'll be fine. So I think you're right. I think we could delete most things or just, automate.
Yeah. And that represents the example, I think, of context, because only through experience or getting insight from people that really understand, it's very difficult, especially with our culture today, where everyone's seeing everyone telling them how smart they are about everything. There's always this FOMO, right? Well, if I don't do this, well, if I don't do that, well, and they're just chasing the new shiny thing. That's context, right? And it's very hard in the world today to discern between truth and just the flow of all kinds of information that distracts the hell out of people wondering, well, what should I be doing? What should I be doing? And that's context to me.
And that's why I think one of the things that you wanted me to dive into, and I may just be ahead of myself, but I feel like it's perfect segue into it, was, hey, what's one thing that you think if people did, they'd be a lot more successful? I think it was something along that line.
Yes. Yeah. Pearls of wisdom.
It's funny because I'm 42. And what I've learned is that answer's changed a few times in the last 20 years. So I'm also very open to the idea that in the next 20 years, I'll change my mind. I do know that but here's what it is today. What it is today is it's being around other people that are very ambitious and that are very serious about the work that needs to be done. And I think when you do that, the other things that I used to say, like it's important that you read, it's important that you build good habits, all those things I think are easier and almost natural when you hang out with people that also read and have good habits. I think you just start adopting. You hang around people that say dude all the time, you'll start saying dude. And I think the same thing goes when you want to be able to have the confidence. I think as entrepreneurs, sometimes we're just looking for confidence. When you want the confidence to fold something that you should fold, it's easier when you talk to other gym owners that are successful, that care, and they go, oh yeah, we used to do that too. We just stopped that. And what happened? Nothing. It was like a great decision. I wish I did it 10 years earlier. And it's like, oh, and so what happens is when you're around other people that have, even if you're doing a little bit more than them in revenue, you may not have gotten there the same way. And so you have different ways, different paths that you took to get to the same spot. You develop the confidence to pull the trigger on things or pull the ripcord on something, right? And just make moves. So that's why we do what we do as far as our events. Like it's great that, we have coaches in our team and everything, but I think the number one, if you were to come to one of our conferences, I think you're coming in November, and you'll see when you get there, it's amazing. But when you go there, if you ask all the members, ask as many as you like, what's the number one reason you stay with Loud Rumor? My guess is going to be, it's the people that are here in the room. It's this room. I've learned so much from the people in the room, or I've gotten so much validation from people in the room for things that I should be doing, that it just made a lot of things a lot easier.
Yeah, that's a real pearls of wisdom. Easy to say, I guess, because I'm about 20 years older than you are, but I think experience is a great teacher if you open your ears, and you hang out with other people that have been through it. I think that's really good advice for pearls of wisdom. Well, Mike, thanks for making time for the audience. I really appreciate you going through the chat. It was really nice to chat with you again. I look forward to coming out to your event here toward the end of the year, man. It's going to be fun.
And you're going to be on my podcast, I think, pretty soon, right? I think we have it scheduled.
Yeah, I think so. That'll be fun to do. That'll be really fun to do. Perfect. Great conversation. Mike, we're going to have your connections and your company and all the links in the show notes below for the listeners. They can check you out, follow you on the social pages. I've been watching your LinkedIn content lately. Doing a good job, man.
Thank you, sir. I appreciate it.
Hello, listeners. This is Brian O'Rourke, and thanks so much for listening to the Fitness Plus Technology Podcast. The podcast is made possible by the Fitness Industry Technology Council, a consortium of global brands working together to enhance the adoption of technologies in the fitness space. Our company, Videri Ventures, which is invested in Vertimax, Montezuma, Gold's Gym, Houston, Texas, and Fitness 24/7 Thailand, also underwrites the podcast, along with our service companies, Integris Advisors, Moon Mission Media, and others. Please feel free to share this podcast with your colleagues. And if I can be of any assistance to you, don't hesitate to reach out, brianko'rourke@gmail.com, or find me on any of the major social networks. Have a great day, and thanks for listening.